You hear it everywhere, right? AI this, AI that. But what are the world's most powerful CEOs really saying when they talk about it? When you strip away all the buzzwords, there's a whole strategic game being played. So today, we're going to decode that playbook.
I mean, just listen to that for a second. That's Jamie Dimon, the head of one of the biggest banks in the world. He's not comparing AI to a new app or even the smartphone. No, he's putting it right up there with the printing press, the steam engine, electricity. I mean, these are the technologies that literally built our modern world. So yeah, the stakes couldn't be any higher.
Okay, so when you hear comparisons like that flying around, it's so easy to get lost in all the hype, right? So what's the real game plan here? What's the actual strategy behind these huge monumental statements? Well, let's dig in and find out.
All right, first things first, let's just listen to the sound. I'm talking about the sheer scale, the volume of ambition that's being blasted out by these top leaders. It's unlike anything we've really seen before. It's almost like they're all shouting from the same giant AI megaphone. I mean, just listen to this stuff. You've got Google's Sundar Pichai saying AI is more profound than fire. Think about that, fire. Then you have Microsoft's Satya Nadella calling it the defining technology of our times. And Amazon's Andy Jassy, he sees a once-in-a-lifetime reinvention of everything. Look, this is not your average corporate speak. This is a unified, incredibly powerful message that's signaling a massive, massive shift is underway.
Okay, so they're all saying it's a big deal. But, and this is the important part, beneath that big, unified message, there are some really crucial differences. They're not all singing from the exact same sheet of music. Turns out they're actually following three very distinct playbooks to lead their companies into this new age of AI.
So, playbook number one is what we're calling the transformational visionary. This is the leader who paints that big, grand, optimistic picture of the future. For them, the goal isn't just to, implement some new tech. It's way bigger than that. It's about inspiring a really deep cultural shift, getting everyone to see AI as a way to augment human ingenuity and to really embrace this mindset of constant learning and transformation. All right, next up, we've got the strategic architect. Now, this leader, they're much more pragmatic. For them, it is all about the business case. They're focused on aligning massive resources, obsessing over what customers need, driving efficiency, and ultimately building a durable, profitable, AI-powered business machine that's just going to dominate the market for years to come. And finally, playbook number three is the adaptive navigator. You can think of this leader as the cautious captain, carefully steering this giant ship through some really turbulent waters. They absolutely see the immense opportunity, but they are just as focused on all the risks. Their playbook is all about governance, managing complexity, and making absolutely sure the company adopts AI responsibly and safely. Okay, so there you have it, the visionary, the architect, and the navigator. But what do these playbooks actually look like out in the real world? Let's put some faces to these names and look at some of the biggest players in the game.
When you think of a transformational visionary, the prime example has got to be Microsoft's Satya Nadella. And wow, this quote just perfectly illustrates his mindset. Nadella isn't talking about Microsoft's stock price or its quarterly revenue. No, his benchmark for success with AGI, artificial general intelligence, is a level of economic growth for the entire developed world that we haven't seen since the absolute peak of the Industrial Revolution. That is a truly visionary scale.
And his whole approach just fits this visionary playbook perfectly. He's always talking about augmenting human ingenuity, not replacing us. He's pushing this learn-it-all culture to get his entire massive organization ready for what's coming. He even imagines a future where our regular old business apps might just collapse into these incredibly powerful AI agents. But, and this is key, he balances that huge vision with a very serious call for safety and really rigorous testing.
Okay, now for a strategic architect. Let's turn to Andy Jassy at Amazon. He is absolutely laser-focused on the concrete, here and now business applications of AI.
So, Jassy's playbook, it's all about building a tangible, profitable AI engine. Every single move is grounded in that famous Amazon customer obsession. He justifies the massive spending by pointing to immediate, right-now gains in productivity and cost avoidance. And he backs it all up with hard numbers, like the multi-billion-dollar revenue from AWS's AI services. And the scale of it all, it's just staggering. We're talking over 1,000 AI applications already built or in the works. And finally, for our adaptive navigator, let's circle back to Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan Chase. Think about it. He's in a unique position.
He has to balance the absolutely immense opportunity of AI with the super heavy regulations and massive risks of the financial industry. And this quote just nails the core of the navigator's dilemma. In the same breath, Diamond can talk about AI being as world-changing as electricity and then immediately pivot to worrying about how bad actors are going to use it to attack his company. He's holding both of those things in his head at the same time, the incredible upside and the very real dangers. And that constant balancing act is what defines his whole strategy.
So okay, we've got our playbooks, the visionary, the architect, the navigator, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter which playbook a CEO is using, they are all grappling with the same handful of massive, universal tensions that really define this moment in technology.
And the first big tension is just the sheer cost. This is not a game you can play with a small budget. Not even close. We are talking about a full-blown AI arms race, where the price of admission is tens and tens of billions of dollars. Now just take a look at the scale here. It is mind-boggling. The planned investments for 2025 alone are staggering. You've got Microsoft planning to spend $80 billion on AI infrastructure. Google is right there with $75 billion. These aren't just big numbers, these are numbers that dwarf the GDP of many countries. This is a game that only the absolute wealthiest players on the planet can even afford to play at this level.
Okay, the second major tension is the workforce. For years, the official line from everybody was pretty reassuring, right? AI will create new jobs, it'll just augment our capabilities. But recently, that tone has really started to shift. We're starting to hear more blunt honesty like this from Amazon's Andy Jassy, who just came out and said he expects AI to reduce their total corporate workforce. This new kind of candor is changing the entire conversation about the future of work.
And that brings us to the third and maybe the most profound tension of all, the mad dash to innovate versus the critical need to be responsible. On one side, you have leaders like Elon Musk, who basically frame it as a pure race, where victory is just a function of speed. Move fast. But on the other side, you've got OpenAI's Sam Altman, who's warning us that with a technology this powerful, we might only get one chance to do it right. And how leaders navigate this trade-off? Well, it could literally define our future.
So here's the crucial point. Now you have the tools. You can see past the big headlines and the splashy announcements. You can actually start to decode these messages for yourself.
So here's your decoding toolkit. It's pretty simple. Step 1, identify the playbook. Are you listening to a visionary, an architect, or a navigator? Step 2, analyze the tensions. How are they talking about the costs, the workforce, and safety? And step 3, and this one's really important, listen for what's not being said. Sometimes the silence on those tough questions about risks or job losses can be just as revealing as any big statement.
The beauty of this framework is that you can use it to analyze any executive in any industry. So the next time you hear a leader in your world talking about AI, I want you to ask yourself, now that I know the playbook, how is my leader talking about this? And what does that tell me about the future they're trying to build?